Your MRI shows you this herniation, but it doesn't tell you why you have this in the first place. Your friends probably has the exact same MRI, but you guys are feeling completely different. You see, your doctor shows the damage on the scan, but can't explain what caused it or how to prevent it from getting worse. Now, here is what nobody is telling you. The assessment that actually predict and prevent your lower back pain has almost nothing to do with what shows up on the imaging. In this video, I'll show you what's the most important assessment for your back pain, and it isn't done in a hospital, it isn't rated by radiologists, and costs you absolutely nothing. Now, let me be upfront, I'm not a doctor, I only got my master's degree in biomechanics and kinesiology. This isn't medical advice. This is just me sharing what's worked for me and for my past 400 plus clients all over the globe. But here is what I've observed over and over again. People got the MRI and then they see the damage and think that's the end of the story. Now, I have this herniation. That's why I hurt. But that's like looking at your car, right? You have a wear out tire and saying the tire is damaged. That's why my car pulls to the right. Now, the real question should be, why did your tire wear out? Why my alignment was off? Was the pressure wrong? Or was the driver taking too much of a hard right turn, right? The MRI show you the worn out tire, but it doesn't tell you what caused the wear pattern in the first place. So if you don't understand what caused it, how can you prevent it from getting worse? I had lower back pain for 15, 20 years myself. Every x-ray, MRI show the same exact thing. Every healthcare professional, they focus on damage. They focus on what they can see in the imaging. They try to strain what's weak and stretch out what appears to be tight. But here is what changed everything for me. I stopped focusing on the structural damage visible on the scan. I started looking at a movement pattern that create that damage in the first place. I learned that my back pain wasn't a random structural problem. It was my body's compensation strategy for my wrong movement pattern over the year. Because of my work, because of my training, because of my old habit, and because of my old injuries. So I have to overcompensate my lower back to fix and finish those daily functional activity. Now, the moment I shift from trying to fix the damage on the scan to try to understand and correct my movement pattern that caused my damage in the first place, everything changed. Now, my pain disappeared, my movement improved, and ironically, my follow-up x-ray actually showed improvement in all perspectives. So I'm going to tell you about 3 assessments that actually matter. And that's the thing I teach to every single one of my one-on-one clients. Now, first, you need to have this movement pattern assessment. I'll show you a few examples in just a bit, but I want you to understand the principle first. Now, your MRI shows static damage, but your pain comes from dynamic dysfunctions. How do you move? Do you rotate equally to both sides? Do you compensate through your lower back when your hips are restricted? Now, in my experience, people have identical MRI finding can have completely different movement patterns and completely different pain experience. Now, second, you need to see the asymmetries in your assessment. Your body is naturally asymmetrical. We need to assess which side of your body is overloading and which side of your body is overcompensating, and how this pattern might be creating wear and tear that's visible on the MRI. Third, you need to look at a bigger picture, what I call a full body assessment. Now, this is a big one. When one part of your body doesn't move well, for example, your pelvis. Now, if your pelvis lack of an internal rotation somewhere else inside of your kinetic chain, maybe your lower back, maybe your hip, will hike up, tilt your pelvis forward, backward to find and compensate that internal rotation. Over time, the thing will break down and damage will show up on your MRI. Let me give you a few simple example tests I use. First will be your hip internal rotation. Now, lay on the ground and rotate your shin inward on each side. In my experience, if one side of your pelvis is significantly more restricted, the lower back will tilt forward. Now, this assessment is to test your hip internal rotation. Again, if you lack of a hip internal rotation, your pelvis is going to either dump forward, backward, or hike up, and that will show up on your MRI. Second will be a straight leg raise. Lay on your back, fully lock up your knee, and then slowly raise it up. As soon as you feel like your knee wants to bend, the task is over at that point. And if you have a super limited straight leg raise, meaning the back side of your pelvis are pretty compressed, and you need to fix this before anything else. Also, if you compress the back side of your pelvis too much, well, guess what? Right now, you're walking like a refrigerator because your pelvis cannot move through relative motion anymore. And of course, your lower back gonna hurt like hell. Third will be your trunk rotation. Lay on your back and let your knee fall to each side naturally. When the rotation is much easier to one direction, it probably shows your pelvis is turned toward that side, creating asymmetrical force on your spine that might contribute to your chronic lower back pain. Now that you know this, here's why I think this movement focus on assessment is so important. First, it is all about prevention. Okay, your MRI shows the damage, that's already happened. But the movement assessment reveal movement pattern that might be creating ongoing damage. And if you can identify correctly, change those movement pattern or change your movement deficiency, you might be able to slow down the progression and ultimately recover. Now, second, it is actionable because you can't really change what shows up on your MRI, but what you can absolutely change is the way you move. And in my experience working with my client one-on-one, when my client improved their movement pattern, their pain level will drastically decrease as well, even if the MRI findings stay exactly the same. And finally, it is individual. Everyone's movement pattern are different. Now, two people with identical MRI might need completely different approach based on their unique movement deficiency and movement compensations. What I've seen over and over again is this: when people understand their movement pattern, then contribute to the damage in the first place and learn how to move differently, their pain improves and their function returns regardless what shows up on their MRI. Now, take my client Zach, for example. His MRI showed he got a really bad herniation and he was constantly in pain for over 2.5 years. So he tried physio, chiro massage, tried to strengthen his core, glute, nothing worked until we worked together. The first day, his assessment showed he couldn't first breathe properly, second, he couldn't even bend because his right pelvis, only right pelvis, wasn't functioning and he was creating tensions throughout his entire spine. And when we addressed his breathing problem and his right pelvic dysfunction, his pain went away in just under 8 weeks.
Very, very grateful for the program you offer, your patience, your professionalism. It's clearly impacting people. At the very least, I can absolutely say it's made an impact on myself. So thank you very much.
Now, this is why I believe movement assessment is so critical. It reveals the functional problem that might be contributing to both the damage and your chronic lower back pain. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying MRIs are useless. They're important for ruling out severe pathology and understanding structural issues. Now, what I'm saying is, in my experience, understanding and improving your movement pattern and your movement deficiency has been the missing piece for every single one of my clients, including myself. The MRI shows the damage, but the movement assessment might help you understanding what creating that damage in the first place and what you can do about it to prevent it and fix your pain forever. All right, I hope you guys enjoy. If you want to learn more about my movement focused approach and you want to try out our exercise, you can find them linked down below as well. And then you can book a call with us, see if you're actually qualified to work with us one-on-one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.